Rolling on to the screen with the bad fast machines, individuals with the stones that has everyone glued to their phones. They are much more than just drivers out here trying to be lone survivors, while many more come and fall when they come up against the outlaws. Cock, lock, and ready to rock. These fellas ain't ones to try and block. They're here to settle some scores and go after so much more. No time to make mistakes, 'cause there is too much at stake. Ain't no one can make them follow the law, because these are the outlaws. As the times fly on by, all drivers are looking past the sky. Since time is on their side, all they care about is getting in that top 5. V8 motors still at full song. These folks are trolling along. As things start to heat up, it's time to aim the guns toward the cup. And ready to rock. These fellas ain't ones to try and block. They're here to settle some scores and go after so much more. No time to make mistakes, 'cause there is too much at stake. Ain't no one can make them follow the law, because these are the outlaws. Rolling on to the screen with the bad fast machines, individuals with the stones that has everyone glued to their phones. They are much more than just drivers out here trying to be lone survivors, while many more come.
All right, now, race fans, it is time to get back down to business here, as we are joining the Outlaws Sim Series once more, as the Outlaws are now ready to get at it here in the Sin of Cities. This is Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and today is their showcase live here on Speed Zone TV. Hi everyone, I am the Dead Man with the hot mic in hand. Once more, Christian Schreiber joining you once again. It's great to see a good few of you out here, and great to see everyone joining us in onto the call today. Let's take a look at today's starting lineup. We got a doozy here, folks. On the pole, we'll start them up. In the number 88, that's Jeremiah Stutzman, the outside. The number 12, Andrew St. Cour. Row number 2 in the 42 is Tyler Markell. The outside in the 35 is going to be Brandon Griffiths. Row number 3 in the 18 is Joshua Belliet. The outside in the 21, Aiden Giordano. Row 4 in the 09 is Keith Helton. The outside in the 3 will be Forrest Hamilton Jr. Row 5 in the 65 is Kyle Lingerfelt. The outside, the 13 is going to be Kevin Thompson. In row number 6, it's the 5, Matthew Setzer. The outside in the 23 will be Morgan Sterling. Row number 7 is going to be the 95 of Devin Smith. The outside in the 8 is Sheldon Swindle. Row number 9 is going to be driven there by the 9 of Ben Henry. Oh, excuse me, I forgot row number 8. Row number 8 is the 2 of Josh Fox. The outside the 45, Merlin A. Duran. And then in row number 9 is the 9 of Ben Henry. The outside the 98 is Jamie Horn. Row 10 is 32 of Brandon Trush. The outside the 56, that will be Adam Gardner. Final row, row 11, the 96, Matt Rogers, the rock star himself. And the outside the 51, Joshua McClune. That is the field of drivers here, race fans, and now it's about to get down to business and get down to the track. We are ready to go racing here on Speed Zone TV. Field ready to march their way down around the track here. Let's take a look at the 1.5 mile long track of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This track is going to be a very interesting one because it is a track that prides itself on a lot of sheer speed and power. But the one thing I'm going to be really noticing for here is the wear and tear of the car's tires, as well as those that are able to mix and manage in very tough situations here. Very increasing predicaments these drivers are going to be facing up against. I am looking for those that can make the best out of a tough situation and make sure they don't find themselves reverberating back to a very tough time indeed. That is going to be how things look at it. Of course, weather right now pretty fair. Nothing too spectacular there to see. Definitely couldn't change on a dime though. Here again, you never know. This is the desert lands here of the track. Field marching their way around onto the circuit here as we bring them off down the front straightaway here. Formationed up and formation down. It'll be the 88 of Jeremiah Stutzman who leads us down. Andrew St. Cyr right on the outside. Looking in, down to the lanes and down to the chute. Heading into the Outlaws Sim starting zone. It is green flag now up in the air. 134 laps to the distance. B-Mac 1953 says go get him. Andrews number 12. Sandra Horn 9798 says get her down. Jamie Horn, good luck Andrew. Sarah and Sandra also saying, and Brandon. And out of the gate it will be the 12 here of Andrew St. Cyr getting the early lead. And I'm pretty sure I'm saying that last name right this time. I messed it up a couple times last time. Said I'd get it better at it. They explained to me how to say it, so I think I figured it out. As we lead them down in out of the gate, Brandon Griffith's going to make the big move on the inside here. Andrew going to have to surrender the lead. They charged pretty hard there on the bottom lane, got underneath the white line again. That's going to be very telling. We see a lot of drivers try to do that here. They're going to try to make some moves quickly. They're going to try to make some moves fast. Some are going to go to the bottom. Some are going to go to the outside. It all really depends on the strategy and what the call for it will be as we go on board here with the 95 of Devin Smith. He's running a much farther lane than most of these other drivers out of the gate. Now the outside is going to be the fastest lane, if you can believe it. There's a lot of run up there, and if you keep the throttle down and keep things under control, it will stick. However, the biggest dilemma these drivers are going to be facing up against again is going to be basically predicated around the fact that they're going to have to either pick and choose a lane. A multi-groove track with a very telling tail on that bottom lane. That bottom lane is going to give out quite a bit the longer this race goes. So looking for drivers early on, kind of shoot towards the bottom, kind of get that speed going. But when the outside groove opens, you can't help but take it up there. It will be very difficult, as you see as well right there out of turn number 2. Trouble down there, looks like for the 88, Jeremiah Stutzman, the driver who qualified first, the Benzo 88 Ford Mustang. Immediately having problems out of the gate. And not only that, he's having a glitch graphic gremlin trying to take the soul of the car away from him. Needs to be careful about that, again, especially considering how tight Colfax Racing these guys are going to be here. Be back on the comment says, have a great race. Kevin, Jamie, and Brandon, have fun. Well, you heard it live down here on the booth there, boys. I don't know if they're listening up there on the track here, probably trying to more focus on their racing here, as well as trying to deal with the pressure coming on their inside or the outside lanes. Brandon Griffiths, the company on the back doorstep. Tyler Markel and the number 42 right in the lane and in procedure. Again, with this being a 134 lap race to the distance too here, folks, this is going to be very difficult for some drivers because some drivers are going to be trying their best to just avoid the troubles of having to get too quick or too crazy. Some are going to be trying to push their luck harder than others, and some, they may just honestly fall into a very unique strategy where it's more centered around the fuel saving as well as the tire saving. It really depends on what they feel and what they can see. We're kind of looking through the back of the field and on around. Got a who's who of drivers right now running their way through the gaps and into the zones here. Nobody making too many crazy jumps to the front here except for the number 95, Devin Smith. He's currently 7 spots up, qualified 3rd, currently in 6th. In the background down here, though, on the back stack, ready to get back up to the front half. They are working their way in. Probably, again, trying just to avoid too much trouble, trying to stay off one another. Now this Gen 7 / next gen car, again, you would think really would play into the strategies for a lot of these drivers and really would play into what they're up to. But to me, I think this car is at a bit of a disadvantage here on these mile and a half. That dirty airflow, even though they got 670 horsepower to work with, the dirty airflow on these things certainly makes it more tricky and harder to navigate and a lot more difficult to make passes when you don't have the speed and timing down. I go on board Adam Gardner here. I did get word of actually what that front of the nose represented for him. Carrying with family members on the front of that hood, as well as those that have came and gone with him throughout the off season. Said that really it wasn't a matter of just trying to get wins in or anything like that. He just wanted to make them proud by finishing good and racing well. I think it's safe to say that the wings that he flies on with that front of that hood there, he's definitely doing a service to them and doing a service to everyone else that's watching along here today. As he goes 3 wide down there off the back stack here, trying to get up to the front half. Cleared up, nicely done there. Gets a good pass on the 45 of Merlin A. Duran. Merlin going to have his work cut out for him here as now we look up to the front. And you can see it just to get to how crazy the pace dictates and how quickly things can change here as the Outlier Speed Co. Company of the 35 at Griffiths right now, having passed up there by Tyler Markel. Markel and the IM, or the EM. I think it's IM though. I'm not sure what the IM means, or in that case here, I assume that's a sponsor he's got working up on that thing, but hard to say in this case. Maybe it's something like what Ricky Bobby did with the Me Cougar on the side of his car. Maybe we'll go with the we'll go on board on the IM machine. There's probably some kind of acronym to it, Aaron. I'm just completely messing up that sponsor, but again, at least for the viewers wise, at least you can get a good look at what that thing says on there. So you know I'm not just completely throwing everything in the wire and not sure what I'm talking about. Speaking of not sure what I'm talking about here, moving up to the front, I gotta give a little bit of a shout to that 51 here, Joshua McClune. You know, he qualified in the back stack today in the last spot, the 22nd spot. Guess where he's at now? Yep, he's in the mid-pack madness zone. He's in the top 10. And for the fact that he's already ran 12 laps around here, that's pretty impressive, honestly. We'll go on more with him. Let's take a look at his lap times here. He makes a big move right on the outside there. Setzer, the number 5, not able to keep him down there. 13 now for McClune. This is something I wanted to hear right there. You see, you notice how offsetted he is on that throttle rhythm. Again, you got to understand something. When you're driving this hard through this kind of lanes, these drivers are going to be constantly pushing themselves to new limits and new heights here. As McClune has gained some ground there on Belliet, but Setzer not getting anything on him. Actually lost more ground and time there. Certainly did not do him a service that he was looking for. But you may have noticed that again, he off-throttled it, got it back into the throttle and stabilized it, trying to avoid getting too crazy with that momentum. The biggest thing you've got to worry about as a driver in this situation is once the tires give out, now you basically have to go and figure out whether or not you can hit a lane the same way, or if you have to back her down more. Running that bottom lane, you can lift off the throttle and get back in the throttle relatively quickly. When you're on the outside, though, you have to only get out of it slightly and then basically keep it, I'd say probably about 3/4 of the throttle. Whereas here, you're about half in, half off, and then back on the gas quickly as you get near the exit. As you just heard Andrew St. Cor there, getting a good little run off there, moving into the inside here of Devin Smith. Ah, Devin Smith, the Ollie's cheap good stuff, or good stuff cheap. 95 right now. Might be having some dirty deeds done dirt cheap on him in a minute because Andrew St. Cor right now is going full beast mode. And he's letting it rip there on the inside. Big move off here as Belliet right now deals with McClune right behind him. You saw that battle going on there. Got some kind of knockout two for the price of one here. We're going to go on 2 onboard cameras here. We're on the beast mode, number 12 here, and then we're going to jump over here to Belliet as he's currently dealing with that 51 corner right on the outside. Here comes the Lucas Oil 51 Chevy of McClune. 14 spots now traveling to the distance. That's impressive. Vinny Giordano says, hey gang, Vinny, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on by, my friend. I assume he's got a little bit of a friend down there, or a family member in the 21 of old Aiden Giordano. I hope I'm saying the names right as well. I'll go on board with Aiden. Why not? Gonna go on board with him and give you a little bit of an idea of the distance and the gap between him and Griffiths and Markel, as well as Hamilton Jr. and Smith. They're in the distance. And again, this is what I was talking about earlier. Again, you can't see the dirty air because you hear me talking about it so much, you're thinking, well, what is he talking about? Again, it's almost like when you're bowling on a bowling pattern and you end up finding yourself unaware of like why the bowling ball will hook in some places and won't turn the other direction in other areas. This is what I talk about a lot. This is what you're constantly dealing with. It's an invisible force that you're literally looking for and you're trying to figure out. The only way to truly judge how bad that dirty air is doing you in is to simply see where the run is coming from and whether or not you're getting up closer and closer to the other driver. I don't know what the heck that 51 put in. I don't know if he's got some turbocharge in that thing, but this dude qualified in 22nd. He's at 7th now. The man is a rocket ship right now. And literally put some I don't know what kind of Lucas Oil products they are using right now, but that thing is literally gunning and got cocked, locked, and ready to lock these Outlaws today. Oh my word. Elizabeth Giordano says, have fun, Aiden. Thank you for joining tonight. Okay, I think it's... Alright. Kathy Trush as well joins us. Says, good luck, Brandon, Jamie, Andrew. Hi to all the moms. Kathy, thanks for joining us here. Vinny says, it's Giordano. Giordano? Is that how you say it? I will wait Vinny's response here, but I believe it's Giordano. Giordano. I probably butchered it. He's just literally laughing or yelling at me at the screen. I've had a couple of them here. Speaking of yelling at the screen right now, I gotta believe a couple of these drivers are yelling at the screen trying to figure out how to stop this encompassing little runner here. The 09 of Heath Helton. He goes to the outside trying to throw a block up to the top, trying to block that middle lane down. As the bottom lane now shoots over the inside. We got a 3-wide salute down the front straightaway between Valiant, McClune, and Helton. Helton is in a helter-skelter situation. Either get moving or get out of there. And McClune, for the first time, really catching it on the track and getting himself in position. Then he gives me the okay, so it's Giordano. All right, Giordano. I will do my best to remember that there, guys. I got a couple of you got with that last name in there, so I need to make sure I'm doing it right. I don't like saying last names wrong, let alone first names wrong. I already got Andrew St. Cor there last time wrong, and thankfully the good folks there helped me explain how to say that name, so I appreciate it. But talking about a great battle there, that was for a second. Balliet, McClune, and Helton going mano-a-mano there, 3 wide. And again, you're probably wondering how in the Hades did Balliet clear that without tagging McClune and Helton? Well, you got to think, again, these drivers, they may not be professionals, but with I ratings that they've got, they possess quite a bit here. We're talking about guys that got an average of about 3,899 I rating here, if I'm doing my math correctly. There's a lot of 3,000s here, a couple 5,000s, and one 6,000 in here. I know St. Cor there is a 5,315. Balliet, he's a 6,947. Now you're probably wondering, okay, what in the heck is this announcer guy talking about now? So, let me explain to you something if you're new to iRacing. On iRacing, a driver that has two things going for him. They have license class as well as I rating. Now, with I rating, the basic premise of it is how fast are you? And it gives you kind of a good description. Oh, that's not a good description there. That's trouble on turn number 2. Yellow is out. Back her down, boys. Back them down. No! Oh! Oh my goodness, now nasty wreck there right up in the lane. Oh, good Lord. Well, I'll get to that in a minute here. What happened, though, is pretty self-explanatory. Let's take a look at the replay. Coming off turn number 2 there. Lingerfeld right here, you see, he gets a little bit loose. He got way too below the bottom, got into that white line. What's kind of surprising me, though, is The 23 machine, he was actually getting into the wall, looks like, before he got slammed by the 8. Unfortunately, and nowhere to go, Lingerfeld has left the building. He's calling it a day, but Sheldon Swindle definitely probably was not expecting that at all. Take a look now at Morgan Sterling's wreck here, coming off that back gate there. Now again, watch the 65. Notice that he's trying to block that 38 from making, excuse me, the 98 from making too many charges. But look at this. Gets way too below the belt. Kind of a weird circumstance there. The 23 of Sterling gets a little bit up on the outside wall, kind of got toned in, and then BAM! Sheldon just basically just finished the job for him and a whack that bad boy in. That was a gnarly little hit there and a terrible break there for Sterling. I gotta believe he is not a happy camper from that one. Well, that was your Speed Zone TV instant replay for the Outlaws Sim Series. Field's gonna park it into pit road here. We're gonna have a whole bunch of them taking fuel and tires, I bet. We'll keep the camera on him. See who makes the race out of pit road here. Again, I know this isn't the best angle. Trust me, we're working on camera angles here at headquarters. Out of pit road, though, that's pretty easy to call. Markel's out, Griffith's out. Giordano is out as well. Giordano getting out as quickly as he could. So he will be in the third spot. Hamilton Jr. and Devin Smith, top 5 out of pit road. Okay. I know I had a little thought process here. Now, let me get back to it. So, the I rating, again, is all predicated on how many wins, how far you get ahead, how far, and how big of a gap you're able to use when you're facing up against drivers either of a similar style or of a higher or lower. So, if you race someone with a higher I rating because they won more, but then you're going up against them and you beat them, your I rating will increase because much more than being you're racing against someone who has a lower and you beat him. The way iRacing determines it and picks out who goes where and who goes what in officials, and I guess I forgot to mention that. Basically, long story short, officials is basically just something that the drivers get to choose on what class car and what track they are racing at of that week. And it's all done via weekly, so you get 12 weeks total of pure racing, where you're supposed to go out there and actually race. And then there's a week 13 that I don't think these drivers want me to ever explain, but I'll explain to you fans later on in the broadcast, if not later on sometime. But at the end of the day, like I said, the higher the I rating, usually the better the driver, because that's a telltale sign that that driver can win at the same time, is very fast and clever with their strategies. So that's the best way I explain I rating. And then license class is literally just that. You have rookie, you have D, C, B, A, and really in this field there was only one C class guy, that was Kyle Lingerfeld. And there are 3 Bs and the rest are all A license. Now again, the license class isn't that hard to get. It's basically just predicated around the fact, okay, did you do any damage to anyone? Did you hit anyone? Or did you get incident points by hitting the wall, hitting other drivers? If you got none of those, your safety rating goes up quickly. If you do start, your rating goes down. That's how safety rating works. And how you get a licensed class higher up in the fields. As we bring him right off around turn number 4 and on the front straightaway here. Green flag gets back out and we're shooting him down the gap. Tyler Markel will lead him down. Brandon Griffiths here and Aiden Giordano right now trying to get to the inside lane, trying to make something work off Griffiths. Griffiths knows he's in trouble here if he lets that lane kick up too much, but the outside lane does have speed. He needs to remain focused and keep things under control. That's pretty wide though out that corner. And Aiden, well, let's just say he's going to make a pay for that. Oh, side skirts meet side skirts, love taps on a route. We've got Rubbin is racing on the track. Put the sides together here, had a little tangle down there, but it was Brandon who got the better of Aiden. And now Brandon looking to maybe make a charge right out here, trying to get the outlier speed go, good to go. Firing all cylinders down across the lane here, Tyler Markel trying to keep him under control. Markel knows he can't give up the speed. He's got to keep that up now. Field working their way around on turn number 2. You've got a new leader, but for how long? Brandon realizing that Tyler's coming up quick on that doorstep. He may have thought about giving him the old bump and run. If you don't know what a bump and run is, well, you've not been around racing long enough, and it'll be pretty easy to tell you when you see it. But long story short, just put the front chrome horn to good use, and make sure that rear end just gets a nice little push out of the way. Some call it Rubbins racing, and others say it's dirty driving. All depends on how you look at it. Personally for me, Rubbins racing. I'll put the sides to you, I'll put my bumper to you. In return, I expect the same thing. But just be warned, you get too aggressive on me, I'll race you the same way. That's the way I always think. Speaking of racing hard right now, Brandon Trush here doing a good job here, getting some momentum carried up as he got the Raptor. Speed shop up into good news. Whoa, up into the wall protection. Looks like Valiant and McClune having a little go at it there as Josh Fox and Brandon Trush right now trying to avoid that. Kind of like what I see so far though from Trush here. Again, he's 10 spots up by the way from his qualifying position. He started 19th. He's in 9th by the way. Eddie Giordano right now still dealing with Tyler Markel and Devin Smith on his doorstep. Meanwhile, Josh Fox starting to get a little bit of room carried off there as he pushes quickly ahead there of Keith Elton and Brandon Trush. Trush right now trying to dial it in right now. He's got something going here as he keeps, I believe that is the, is that the Catch 22? What is, I can't quite read that there. Hold on, I know a way to read it. Right, give me one moment. Okay, yep, that's Catch 22. Alright, perfect. Some of these sponsors are easier to read than others. I can tell you that much for you guys. B-Max says, come on team BMP, you're way at the back. Well, that doesn't mean anything necessarily. Again, it's still 100 laps left to go. I think they can put something together. It's not impossible. I will say though, it's going to be very difficult. I'm not going to insinuate that's not a possibility. It's very difficult right now. Making it very difficult right now here. Up on the inside lane here, you got the number 3, Forrest Hamilton Jr. Putting the Grizzly 3 in play. Trying to push that 51 and McClune to his limits. McClune, again, very shocking and surprising for me in this race. He started from the outhouse. He's climbing towards the White House, and race fans, with that pass right there, he just put himself in the 4th. I don't think anyone's going to catch the Hard Charger award if this guy's running around like that. I'm just trying to figure out, though, how come did he end up in qualifying for the back half? Again, iRating-wise, he's only at a 1599, but the way he's driving, the way he's racing, you would have thought he was like a 6,000 like Joshua Valiant was, because he is absolutely cooking. Now, again, he could be wearing tearing his tires up a bit, too, so he needs to be careful about that, because the longer that goes, the much harder it will be on him and the rest of the field to be able to stay with where he's at here. And that could play a factor here. That much is for certain. not about yet. Again, still trying to deal with pressure on that doorstep here. Fox now realizing he could be in for a ride here if he's not careful. Meanwhile, traveling from the back of the outhouse and trying to get back into the fight to the White House. You got quite a few drivers there in the midst of the mid-pack madness here going at it. It's the 96 here of Matt Rogers, the Rockstar as he's nicknamed. Currently trying. See if we can get something going there at Sunbelt. Number 96, Toyota Camry. And we're coming down that doorstep here with the 13 of Kevin Thompson and the 9 of Ben Henry right there. I gotta believe having to try to go mano-a-mano there with Andrew St. Cyr gotta be kind of a little bit nerve-wracking, at the same time kind of alleviating knowing that he's up there with some heavy hitters and some tough competition. Field right now again, kind of in a bit of a troublesome situation. It's getting harder and harder to pass. They're kind of doing the same thing over and over again, but it's also really mentally probably wearing on them to realize, like, okay, if I do this or that, it kind of puts me in a weirder spot, and I can't really start to get the momentum carried through and get things dialed up more. That's the thing with being in the backpack with this kind of car and this kind of circumstance. You're really trying so desperately to force some openings and some gaps where maybe it might not be the best case scenario. But in reality, you really don't have very many options. Get on board here with a cameled up 9 of Chevrolet. As you see the 13 Cord Beer Light. Making quite a stir down there. Or excuse me, Miller High Life, I apologize. I got Andrew St. Cyr stuck in my mind. That was the way I got to figure it out there from last week. But you guys said, just think of Coors beer. And that's how I figured out how to make sure I could say the 12's name right. Speaking of that, right now, Trust right now, the Raptor Chevrolet dealing with the Beast Mode Ford right up on his inside lane here. I guess Beast Mode finally starting to come back. And I see what I was talking about earlier, B-Mac. I told you, you gotta give the drivers a little bit of room. The team's fighting and they're scratching. Still plenty of chances, plenty of opportunities. I swear, by the way, I am not trying to keep putting the camera on this guy right here, but when he's climbing up positions and we got a field that's ready to race, I gotta put the camera where the race is happening. Aiden Giordano right now here with company on his doorsteps. The Outback Steakhouse Machine Ford trying to keep the Chevys at bay. He's the lone Ford in the top 3. He's got at least one other Ford in his back half there of Forrest Hamilton Jr. in the 5th spot. There's just one problem. Hamilton right now is, well, let's just say quite a bit of time back away from him. At least a 2nd and 2/10. That's not exactly easy to get back on ovals here. That much is for certain. I got on board here with Aiden. Let's take a look at the lap time delta as well here and get a good look at what we're looking at here, why that might be the case and why it's harder for him to keep beat up. And you can see again just how much when you draft off somebody and you kind of keep things going, that it ends up working in their favor and works off their ends here more than yours. McLuhan's certainly getting something to work here, but he's still got a long road ahead of him. Be back with a little LO on a smiley face. I got the old smiley faces on my end here. Always want to give the fans what they want and give them a little smile and a little bit of satisfaction. That's what we're always about here on Speed Zone TV. If you haven't already, I know I hate saying this, but YouTube kind of has to flag me if I don't say it. Be sure to like and follow us up here and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Don't miss the races because there's plenty of great stuff we have in store and more to show down the road. I'm hoping sooner or later we can get some more dirt and dirt track racing back on here. There's one thing I know, that's my bread and butter. Field working their way around with the Miller High Life number 13, Kevin Thompson, keeping Jamie Horn here, the 98 at bay. Here looks like another Raptor driver trying to get his own kind of lane and choice here. Again, qualified 18, currently in 13. We're currently only missing Morgan Sterling, Kyler Lingerfeld, and Sheldon Swindle. They are all out of the race at the moment here, unfortunately. I know Lingerfeld has left the building. Morgan Sterling is all but called it, and Sheldon Swindle, I think, honestly, probably got to be more infuriated with the fact that he ended up getting himself into that wreck without really realizing it. As the field right now in the mid-pack and the back stack just try to get something figured out here. Adam Gardner here qualifying in 20th here. He's currently now on 10. But he's got Core right beside him here. St. Core right now making a bit of a saint in him. Trying to let the beast mode get engaged. And he is engaging beast mode once more. That's not something you want to do. You don't want to anger the beast mode. And that seemed to be the case there. Gardner got into the wall protection, backed off it, and ended up getting himself out of that mix up there, but could have been much dangerous. Thankfully, it seemed to have resulted in a clear pass, but definitely took some damage coming off that wall there. You know, even though we do have the safer barriers on the track and all that here, you got to remember something here, folks. The way those safer barriers work is even when you smack the wall just like that here, these cars aren't exactly the most hard-hitting machines. They can be a little bit elegant, as they can be also a little bit, as one famous little Formula 1 car hate to be called in Cars 2, fragile. Jeremiah Stutzman here, the Pennzoil 88. Honestly, if there was a driver that kind of shocked me for the fact of like where he's at versus where he qualified, I think it's going to be Jeremiah. He qualified first, was the fastest qualifier. He fell behind early, and the next thing you know, he's literally been trailing further and further back. Now, I don't know if that has to result in his strategy or the way he's looking at the race. But one thing I definitely will say here is that that's not something you want to be in that kind of situation on. You want to usually be a little bit closer in the gaps, a little bit closer on the circuit, and build more momentum as you go. He did take tires and fuel there, so that could give him a bit of a chance here. As right now currently still battling not only the tire wear and the fuel, but the dirty airflow that travels in front and beside these cars. Markel and Giordano right now dealing everything they can. Oh, right off the back wall there. Watch out. St. Core. Man, he slammed that thing pretty good there. He caught it on the distance, just right on our camera view. Caught right up there with Helton, and the Catch 2209 making his move and getting right up ahead. Let's see if we can get a look at the replay here and figure out what happened. Looked like he just completely slammed on that wall there and just had nowhere to go. Let's take a look at it here. I guess is entering from the front straightaway and then entering into the turn. Watch this. Gets really hard in the gas pedal. Again, he's on the outside. Everything looks good here. So, oh, yep, right there, right there. You see, he gets kind of tripped up. Helton kind of threw him up in the outside lane. He was expecting Helton to kind of back down and stay low. But in that case, that was not the situation. Nearly halfway done so far. And we're going 3 wide saluting. This time it is going to be Thompson and Horn giving it the old tried and true formula. Horn and Thompson right now honestly doing a really good job, in my opinion, kind of staying in their own lane, kind of staying in their own position, facing off in a hard racing atmosphere as well as a very tricky, convulsive, momentous occasions here. As now your number 1 seed entering into this race, at least the number 1 qualifier, Jeremiah Stutzman, starting to finally make his way back into the mist and into the field. I kind of wonder again, was the early troubles and the problems, kind of something he was trying to make sure he could stay in lane with, or was maybe he just trying to kind of play a different strategy no one else would expect it here? As you see, Helton there as I was reacting, getting into the wall protection off the front straight, off turn 4 to the front half. Oh, get into that bottom lane. You got to be careful, Helton. Go below that white line. Again, when you get below that white line, I didn't even get to mention this earlier. It's a flat spot of the track where basically instead of going from banking, you're going to a flat spot. And again, for cars like these, when you flat spot on a track like this, well, you could heavily end up on the receiving end of something like that, or what you saw earlier with Lingerfeld, banishment to the Shadow Realm, just from serious damage and trouble that you in fact concur there. Brandon Trush right now here again. 7 spots up, qualified 19th. He's doing everything he can here, representing for America here. Our lone Canadian driver is St. Croix here. And he's not far behind either again, but that smack of the wall I think might have cost him a lot of time here. He needs to start building the pace back up. Stutzman, in my opinion, doing that and then some. Honestly, I'm very surprised now that he's finally kind of getting it put back together, but Horn, whoo boy. That almost ended up disastrous there. He was definitely playing with fire a little bit there, if you ask me. Oh, look up to the race battles up to the front here. We got a battle going on here. Aiden Giordano right now making his way up into the lanes. He's moved into second. As it looks like Markel might be slowing down a bit, opening the doors with a 3 of Forrest Hamilton Jr. Meanwhile, Giordano has got something going. Can he get to Griffiths? Time to take a look at our track timekeeper here. And that is Outlaw speed and freakish speed from Aiden. That sea of green's not something Griffiths wants to see. That's what Giordano wants to see. That is speed gained and momentum and time gained up for the 21. He's coming up quick. The old Outback Steakhouse is fighting. He's looking to bring one out tonight. Gotta try to throw a little, Good Day USA Kangaroo Jack shot in the back. Yeah, working on it. I swear I am no Men Down Under here, I swear. Or Men at Work. God, I can't even remember my musical artist here. I'm sorry, folks. I meant to say Men at Work, because of course they're the ones that sang that famous song, Land Down Under. And speaking of from down under here, 5 spots gained up for Forrest Hamilton Jr. He started back in 8th today. Currently, right now, scratching and wheeling, dealing up some momentum here. Well, someone just realized there, you saw it right there too. I heard a possible shift down. Look at this. Hey, look at the battle up front right now as well. You got a battle for the race lead. But I was just going to say, Forrest actually shifted down into 4th there. As now Aiden, he's got the race lead. And with halfway now approached and completed, this is now a do or don't situation. Make it work or it will not. But he's got to hope for a little bit of brakes here too. Whoa, Griffiths in the wall as well. That Outlier Speedco company right now is not having a good day down there. Seems to be getting kind of wrapped up into the wall protection. What I'm really surprised though is again with Hamilton shifting down into 4th. That tells me 2 things. Either A, he missed the corner and didn't feel like he had enough speed, so he shifted down to try to build that power back up. Or the tires are now wearing in thin and starting to become a lot harder on the rubber compounds to keep things in check. And it's making it much, much more difficult to really keep speeds going because that rubber is getting thrown onto the surface and he's getting less and less of it inside for the cockpit to use. Devin Smith staying in 5th gear, and here comes a big run on the outside. Look out for the 95. And the Grizzly 3 here, nothing you can do about it, or maybe so. He's trying to make him work for it on that bottom lane. Griffiths, though, going for broke here, trying to get things dialed up here. Into pit road. Watch that pit stop. Watch that pit stop. Woo-hoo-hoo. Not sure if Forrest went too hard in there. Looked like he backed down quick enough. Aiden seemed to be okay, so that will be our pit stop drivers But Brandon now, because of that little switch up there from the lanes down to pit road, we've got a battle for the race lead between Devin Smith, Brandon Griffiths, and Joshua Belliot. Griffiths slowing down. He's going to pit road here. Belliot right now trying to deal with Smith on the inside, pushing and shoving his way into the lanes. The drivers now realize like how far they've come along and how far this one can go. There's not many opportunities left here to make mistakes. In the background, Markell and Thompson, they're also starting to put some rhythm, some gap in. A lot of drivers went into pit road within the last 2 or 3 laps here. It looks like Giordano we saw there, Forrest Hamilton Jr., Trush, McClune, Horn, Gardner, Duran, Henry, Setzer, Rogers. A lot of them going into pit road at very interesting times. Now Markell going in there, Devin Smith, Thompson, and Stutzman. The only driver so far that's yet to go to pit road is currently Belliot, Helton, Core, and Fox. Although it does sound like the 18's slowing up a bit. I think he might be getting ready. Yes, he is. Gotta be careful of that flat spot. Hit the brake, hit the brake. Set the pit speed. There you go. Core gonna stay out. Helton and Fox going to pit road. Smith's out. Core will be the last one. And there's a whole bunch of drivers now trying to hurry up and get out of there quickly. If I'm Sandra right now, I'm honestly probably thinking it might be time to get to pit road. Everybody else went in. You got plenty of time to make it work, plenty of time to make this good use here. I think it's a good opportunity just to kind of get in there and take care of your equipment. And that's what the Beast Mode 12 is going to do. BMP's heading for pit road. Belliot getting out of there. Giordano, though, is going to get up ahead of him quickly. Right behind him is the number 96 of Matt Rogers. And the Rockstar right now not doing too well here, unfortunately, for the Sunbelt Rentals. But still keeping a solid game face on and keeping a solid race face down into the ground. Andrew is still getting tires put on the car here. Fuel is in, but the tires are not. And that's going to cost them precious time here. Now, if we look at the pit stops here, there's quite a few that went in on lap number 71. There's a few that went on 74, 73, 72, some on 75 and 70. I do wonder how that will fare and how that will kind of play out here, knowing how things have been going so far. It's a very tall, dark road here that these drivers are kind of playing with, but again, gotta stay focused on your lanes, gotta stay focused on your drive, and hope that the rest kind of works up for it in this case. Aiden, though, right now still leading us down and still keeping things under control. And really, it's been very critical, in my opinion, that they do that and then some here, knowing what kind of lays ahead and what kind of pops up on their drive here. Some heavy hitters like Trush and McClune here, they are doing what they can to kind of stay in this. Man, it's just been absolutely mind-boggling here. Again, just McClune starting so far in the back and then having to work his way back. Trush as well. Because again, they seem like they're fast drivers. So I'm really just surprised that qualifying-wise did not play out in their favor. I'm assuming that whatever happened, they end up basically overdriving the car around a bit. May have slipped up or hit the wall. And again, qualifying, again, I got to remind you folks about this, that in qualifying, if you do tag the wall or you spin out or get anything that involves an incident, like that right there, just that little tag there from the 96, that is enough for the qualifying lap to not count. Silly as that may sound, that is how they set it up, because again, they don't want wall riders around here. We don't need a Hale Millens around here from like Ross Chastain did at Martinsville. So that's the way iRacing sets these things up. They keep it nice and conservative, as well as keep it very potentially solid on their runs. But again, it's a very, very tough road and a very tough time to deal with. Also, I hope the little new ticker up on the top there is looking okay for you guys there. Some like it and some don't, so I always kind of triple check with the fan base, see what they think. But at least now you can get to see a little bit more of who is where and who is what right now on the facility. Devin Smith. And the 95 Ollie's machine. Early on, I kind of made a joke, said he was trying not to get dirty deeds done dirt cheap on him. But now, it looks like he is doing his deeds, and he's doing it dirt cheap and cheap as can be. Ollie's right now got the Toyota Camry into the top 5, and now he's got it into the 3rd spot. Muscles it around Hamilton Jr. Right now, top 5 here is a Ford, 2 Toyotas, Ford, and Chevy. Whoa, a little bit of trouble down there for Keith Elton in the back straightaway. Got to get it refired quickly, but what happened to that Catch-22 machine? The ASC machine, unfortunately, coming to a bit of a gridlock stop. I'll go to the replay and figure out what happened. Might have had a bad pit stop, or may have found himself on the wall protection. Let's take a look coming off turn number 2. Oh, yep, right there. As I was saying earlier, gotta stay off that wall protection. And definitely gotta stay away from that white line. And oh, he took a nasty tumble there. Gardner, man, how did he avoid that? That was probably about as clean-cut an avoidance as I've ever seen one. But how the heck did he even stay away from that mess is beyond me. Let's take a look at the replay. This is on board with Gardner. Watch this. Woo! Well, he didn't stay out of the woods. He did tag the wall, but that could have been much worse. Nevertheless, we stay clean and green. Helton, though, I gotta believe, is not a happy camper down there, and I don't blame him. I'll give this to Helton as well as Gardner, man. The save they made there is very impressive because, again, this car, if I haven't already kind of said enough of it, this car is extremely difficult to save in those kind of scenarios. You're probably thinking at home, like, well, why is that exactly? Well, if you kind of even paid attention to the NASCAR scene as well, a lot of drivers really do not like this car. And it really all boils down to the fact that it just doesn't race like anything they're used to. It's basically got kind of a different rear suspension in there that works its own little steering valves and mechanisms versus the front. Whereas the front, it's almost kind of like if you lose even the slightest flat spot or make the wrong mistake, you end up kind of making the car swing straight hard left to right and end up costing you precious time with trying to save it, or you're basically already spinning out, there's nothing you can do. Whereas usually with like late models, super late models, and even the Gen 6, the rear wheel drive of the car would actually allow drivers to be able to steer clear of troubles when they needed to and actually catch the snap before it's too little too late. These things, it's really not that easy. The steering valves of these things is extremely difficult to catch, and they are very, very interesting in how they turn and how they steer up. I don't want to say it's almost kind of like, instead of being nice and smooth, it's like this kind of knee-jerk glitch little reaction. That's the best way I can explain it. It almost feels like little notches. Basically where it ends up feeling like you're trying to turn it and it goes click, 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 click. That's kind of like that versus smooth into the turn, you know? So let's see if I can get a good onboard camera here. I'll see if I can give you what I'm telling you here. Like, here's a good bird here right now. Let's let Josh Valiant here get it going. But you notice, like, how much he's steering around with that car there? Again, inside that cockpit, what he's feeling is a little bit of those notches, a little bit of that kind of clicky nature of the steering wheel kind of sticking back into it. So as soon as he's kind of steering back, it's like notch, notch, notch back at him. Instead of just staying nice and smooth and under control. He's basically fighting and wrangling with that thing, just trying to keep things under control and under pressure. But what he doesn't want is that rear end to slip out at all. If it slips out, it's almost impossible to catch that front back with it. It's time to take a look at our time delta gaps here once more. Giordano right now leading us down. And again, Balliet was gaining ground on him. Let's see if lap 80 brought to him. Excuse me, 90. Looks like he did get a little bit of ground there, about 9,000 of a second. Smith wasn't able to get anything that time on Balliet. Balliet, though, was giving up room. Gotta be careful. Again, can't get too iffy, can't get too lenient. That's how you lose races around here. Hamilton Jr. making the run up. Josh Fox here goes into pit road. Problems down there for the number 2 machine. See if I can get a good look and figure out what happened in the number 2. Looks like something just did not go according to plan there. We'll see if we can get a look at it. Oh, he had a major problem here. Hold on a minute. There wasn't just a little trip to pit road. No, there was something wrong. Watch this. Look. Whoa. Wow. Hang on, buddy. Oh, man. Whoa. They caught the 5 off guard, too, there. Not sure what went wrong. Either way, Josh goes to pit road. And I gotta believe he wasn't too happy about it. Hey, I ended up just parking it down there in pit road. Not sure exactly what caused that little mishap. Again, what you're seeing outside the car versus what you see inside are 2 different things. Let's see what the steering wheel does here. I don't know. I don't know if that was lack of focus or lack of concentration. He got the 45 off guard, got the 5 in there. Everything looked fine there. It doesn't look like he had any mechanical problems. But whatever the case was, that just cost him the race pretty much. Or any chance or hope to get a good place here. And unfortunately, too, the number 5 getting himself in a bit of that situation. Matthew Setzer here, he's out of the race. He's done. Ben Henry in the 9 going to move up a spot on him here, but he's currently dealing with traffic right behind. We're currently being lap traffic right now, trying not to be too much more of a nuisance to them. One thing I have noticed, though, with these guys, again, the one thing I do like about these Outlaws is that even though they have the Outlaws in their name, they race anything but. They race hard like rebels, but they really are very keen and good to each other off the track and on the track here, respectful of one another and their racing credibility as well as what they're doing. So good on them in this case. You'd be surprised how many leagues these days just end up wanting to basically go fighting each other here and trying to get the best position. There's a reason why even the Pro Series and iRacing, I'm not trying to knock iRacing for this, but even those guys right now, their egos are getting a little bit too much for their own good and causing a lot more silly mistakes and silly races, in my opinion. Kevin Thompson right now in the 13 Miller High Life here. He's got 2 spots up. Qualified 10th. Been pretty, in my opinion, pretty much been the most consistent out of the group. And he did fall back early, but when he got it fired back up and dialed up again, started making it work here. Started really making things dial up again. McLuhan and Truss right now, kind of drafting off one another here and kind of pushing each other to their limits. But seems to have kind of pinpointed a gap difference there. Coming up on lap 100 here of 134. Plenty of ground and time for these drivers to make their final choices, their final decisions. But, you know, we saw earlier that they did go into pit road with the first caution. Inevitably came out. My question is, when will they go into pit road again? It's time to take a look at our pit strategy stop instantly. And again, let's look at this real quick. You see the number of laps they got. You see how far they went. Again, Giordano right now, he went 44 laps before he went to pit road. He's currently on 22, it looks like. Balliet, 24. So right now, he's currently dealing with a very troublesome situation. Oh, excuse me there. It looks like actually 28 for Giordano. So that might be a factor here. I am wondering, is Aiden going to have enough fuel to stint out this lane? Because again, he went in with 45 laps originally before he went into pit road. He ran hard and ran quick, but the thing is, he needs to somehow find a way to scavenge up 34 more laps of fuel. That's asking quite a bit here. I don't think he's got it. So I think right now he's patiently waiting the same way that Joshua is to when the right time is to go into pit road and take that move. But again, Balliet is not giving him any breathing room right now in terms of speed. Joshua has literally climbed up the ladder here and representing a car that I think a lot of us kind of remember very fondly. And I think it's safe to say that many of us miss him dearly. But nevertheless, representing for that 18 scheme here, he's currently putting this thing in more of a position that's putting pressure on Aiden. And right at the moment there, you can see Aiden maybe starting to kind of feel the situation at hand. Starting to build a little bit of speed, a little bit of power down, so he's probably not saving nearly as much as he was. I don't think, the way I'm looking at this, anybody has enough for a full fuel run. So with that said, it really now boils down to who goes to pit road first, who goes in and who takes fuel. Will they take tires too? Like, do you take tires and maybe run the risk? Because again, taking tires means you're basically just calling for more seconds on your time at pit road. But can you make that ground up getting back on the track? Here's a good example of it. A good example would be literally if you're running around on a short track and you get put a lap down, but the driver that passed you didn't take only took fuel, and you got about 30 or 40 laps left to get around to him. That driver that didn't take the tires is going to be working on very worn out rubber, whereas you're on fresh rubber. You can basically just go full speed ahead and try to get back into it, and it has worked before. We've seen it numerous times. Doesn't mean it always pays out, but it can if the cards play right in your favor and into your grasp, if you will. A little bit on board here with Kevin Thompson right now as he pushes his way right up on the outside here. Number 32 of Brandon Trush. And Trush again just dealing with all that power and momentum there up on the inside lane. Nowhere to kind of grasp for it and kind of keep it under control at. Premier speed and power being put to good use here. Everybody wants to get final positions, final track layouts here. And I tell you what, race fans as well, this has been an absolute burnout of scratch out kind of racing. And now Thompson, perhaps maybe a last gasp, starting to kind of take that strategy I said earlier. Remember I said earlier about the outside lane? Yeah, Thompson kind of figured it out. McClune and Trush, nothing they can do. Thompson right now is in full steam ahead territory. He is basically letting that 13 Miller High Life go to the outside and dig. He's digging for not only gold, but he's digging for a treasure trove of speed, friction, and endurance. My question is, will that affect the tire wear a little bit more than he wants to here, especially considering that running up there is a huge risk. Again, it's not as stable as the bottom lane can be as long as you stay off that white line. Running up that high means you're basically just going full center fold and trying to hope that the wheel will stay intact right where you want it to be. Here's a good example of this. Go on board with him. Watch his steering and watch how hard he's having to literally rep that thing around. Gasses it back off. Notice the steering. Look, he moves it in lane, moves it in position. He's doing everything he can. Brandon Griffiths, first one to enter into pit road. This is what I was talking about earlier. Again, who is going to be the ones to go to pit road first? Who makes the decision? Griffiths going to take his chance. Will Aiden go in next? Or who will be next going in to beat him? Aiden staying out. Helton goes to pit road. So far, none of the leaders here in the top 5 bracket have gone to pit road. Griffith's the only one so far. Kevin Thompson right now, man, he's still looking for speed up there. And if you're wondering at home, like, am I just saying that outside lane is just the way to go? No, I'm not saying that's the way to go, but when you look at the results, let's just say that there's quite a bit of a gap there that ensues. It looks like there's trouble down there with Thompson. Oh, he goes into pit road. I was going to say, I thought he maybe had a little problem, then he had to get himself into a mess there, but no, he actually has gone into pit road. Trush and McLeod will join him. God, what must be going through Aiden's mind right now? Is he hoping and praying for something to happen that gives him a break or like a caution or something? Or is he literally just thinking, when do I got to go into pit road and keep these guys off my tail? So much at stake and so much on the line tonight. Just a who's who of drivers trying to get top spot, trying to get the best spot. Last time out here, again, it was 2 weeks ago. We were around with the gang. Kyle Lingerfeld getting his first win in the Clash down at Daytona, and then the big Daytona race that came right after. Forrest Hamilton Jr., the driver of the number 3 here, doing everything in his willpower to make sure that people know he's not just a plate racer. He's one to watch out for on the big tracks, as he's now heading into pit road. The Grizzly number 3 goes into pit road, and right now, if I'm the leaders, I'm probably kind of start having to question with my crew chief, when is the best time? I think right now, honestly, St. Cor, though, he might be a sleeper here at the moment. Looks like he sounds like he's kind of slowing up a bit. Oh, he's got to stay on that throttle. Looks like he was just backing it down. He went on lap 75. I am not going to say for certain that he has anywhere near enough fuel, but he certainly is going to try to make something work out of it. As Aiden, he blinks first, which means Balliet gets to stay out. Smith probably looking to try to get some momentum cleared up again, trying to get things dialed up. Joshua now needs to make a decision. Does he stay out and risk it, or does he go in, get the fuel, and finish this one up? If I'm Balliet right now, I'm going to pit road here. Just be careful going in. Oh, yeah, there it is right there. Plan when the leader goes in. Plan for yourself and stabilize everything up. You got to go with your strategy, and you got to go with what works. Devin Smith looks like he's going to try and catch them off guard as well. The problem is for him is that Aiden is coming out of pit road. I've always said on these broadcasts, you get 1 lap after the leader goes in to make a decision, but those that decide to go in and out, they've already got speed built back up and power drilled back onto the track. That's where things get extremely difficult. 18 laps to go here, and look who just climbed back up into the top spots here. I know I said earlier on I was surprised that he had fallen so far back, but Jeremiah Stutzman has now returned to the place he qualified in. He's back in 2nd place on the front, on that road list there. And a bunch of hungry drivers right now just trying to get back on lead lap or trying to take away something from the leaders. Devin Smith, he will finally go to pit road. Balliet passed up by Giordano. And Giordano right now looking to try and lay claim to the fame. In my opinion, if everything goes correctly, he's the driver to beat right now. Andrew St. Cor right now trying to get the 12 squared up, but he's running out of time. He's running out of patience. Aiden's coming for him, and he's looking to take it away from him. Stutzman going to be your new leader. But for how long, though? He's going to pit road. Might have overshot a little bit there. Try to clear it quickly. Does get a breakdown as well. Markel going in. St. Cor right now, honestly, it's not looking good for you there, my good sir. You got company coming. He's about 9 seconds back, but he's building a lot of speed quickly. I think he's right now, I think he's just hoping and praying for a miracle at this point. I don't think he's going to get it. We're down to the final 15 laps this next time on by. Now I'm just curious to see if Balliet has anything left to put up against Aiden. If Andrew does not go in for a time, he's going to stay out for a while, I think. Is he possibly trying to save for the entire fuel run? If he's trying to save for that fuel run, I don't know if it's going to work necessarily, but it could. Just like that, there now Andrew into pit road here. A little little issue on our end with the cameras. Finally got things back up and running. My apologies there. Andrew having to go to pit road, and that pretty much kind of all but duped his run there and kind of duped his speed. He knew he was hoping for a little bit of luck or a little bit of a chance here. We've seen crazier things happen, but honestly, this is a pretty elite group of guys right now. I would not put it past them to be able to really just figure things up and dial up as quick as they do right now, man. They have been absolutely numerous in numbers and numerous in speed, and they have not given an inch. Aiden right now currently only about 7/10 of a second ahead, maybe 6/10 in this case. And that's not a whole lot of breathing room. What is, though, for Joshua and him, the fact that Forrest Hamilton Jr. is about 3 seconds back of them as well. Brandon Griffiths trying to get fighting up quickly here with that 3. And again, Brandon, in my opinion, probably played a much stronger strategy than most drivers are going to give him credit for. He qualified 4th, and it's just been absolute pure consistency from there. Only with a couple bobbles and a couple mistakes there, in my opinion, that may have cost him the race lead and the win here. 10 laps left to go, right through lap traffic. Here we go. Joshua right now is hoping that this will slow down Aiden a bit. Giordano right now needs to be careful. Don't go too low. Don't get yourself into any mistakes here. He gets it around St. Cyr. Now can St. Cyr be maybe the driving force for Balliet to either make that run to catch him, or will it be kind of a no slingshot opportunity? That's the big thing. Cora's running a much different line. Balliet right now doing everything he can to get that draft line up. He's got a slingshot coming off turn number 2. He's definitely got speed building up here. Aiden right now in trouble, about 4/10 of a second here. But scratched him up here as now Joshua having to fight back and scratch around. Oh, that was not what Joshua wanted to see. We knew after Daytona that we'd see a few different runners and see a few different names play into this show. But could it be we see in the top 5 maybe the drivers to watch out for? Hamilton Jr. certainly wants to ride the wave of success and keep that momentum up for the points lead. But for Joshua Balliet and Aiden Giordano, it could be a much different landscape here. Giordano right now doing everything he can to put this thing where he wants it. But again, he's just with 6 laps left to go. in a very tough spot. Man, I tell you what, race fans, I've been left out of breath, honestly, from this one. I love the strategy calls. I love the fact that there was a caution that basically kind of threw everybody for a loop. I mean, I don't really like cautions in general, but the fact, though, that it now made drivers have to rethink their strategies and rethink their game plans. Now, putting us into this situation here today, I believe when we go to Auto Club Speedway next time out, we're going to see some new drivers in that front half and in that back stack looking to duke it out and prove their worth and their cunning here. Final 5 laps left to go. Top 3, Hamilton Jr., Balliet, Aaron Giordano. Top 5 in this case, Griffiths and Thompson in that bracket. And right now it is Thompson and Griffiths with one last dash to pass and one last fight to settle the score. And off turn number 4, it's so far as Thompson, but Griffiths with the outside lane trying to hustle him. Oh, this is some great stuff going down right now. Even when they're literally just trying to race for one position or one more gain of ground. This is how much it means to them. And Brandon Trush right now looking on realizes there is a window, maybe a chance at taking some positions away. There is 3 laps left to go. Aiden Giordano right now leading us down as the field currently still swipping and swapping around. Thompson going to trade the lane. He went to the bottom this time. He's going hot side again. That's a Miller High Life speed right there. But he doesn't seem to get anything on Griffiths. Griffiths using that dirty airflow to his advantage. He's basically forcing Thompson to have to go back and forth with Trush here, if anything. Kind of a double-edged sword here. Thompson now spots it over the inside. Big run there for Griffiths. And Griffiths, nothing he can do. Got slingshotted off. Thompson. Whoa, mama, he got it pushed up on the outside. Griffiths up on the outside, got slammed down on the wall. Trush here looking for the pass down to the inside zone. With 2 laps left to go, Aiden Giordano right now leads us down to the white flag lap. Watch that battle, though. Trush and Griffiths, one last little duel for the top 5. Could go either way here. Trush is doing what he can, trying to make something work. But coming down the lane, you see Joshua Balliet realizing this one might be on, done, and over with. Coming for home on turn number 3 and heading for down turn number 4. Take it to the Outback because this one's going to the Sin City driver of the 21, Aiden Giordano's getting it done tonight. Second, we'll go to Balliet. Third, Hamilton Jr. Thompson goes fourth, and Griffiths barely holds on. He just all to the line for a top 5. What a race. And Joshua, with a show of respect to the driver of the 21, says, hey, you did it this time. Next time, I will be doing what I can to get you, my friend. What a performance. What a run. Aiden definitely did everything he needed to and stayed in his lane, stayed in control. And that's a celebration coming out tonight. I know we're nowhere near, I know that there is a, Force Hamilton Jr. Ooh. Came up there on Aiden there. I think he's trying to say, hey, let's get it down and burn up some rubber, brother. Burn the rubber we do. Remarkable performance by the drivers tonight here of the Outlaws Sim Series. Let's now finally take it down here for our final results. As it looks like I still need to make sure some things were fixed on the producers. And producers, should we have this thing already fixed up by now? I thought we had this already ready. Alright, there we go. Now we don't need people seeing the underscore title there, but here is your final results now. Finally, I got that on the board here. Wait, hold on a minute. Okay, there we go. Race results in, your race fans. Aiden Giordano getting the victory done. Joshua Balliet gonna go second. Third goes to Forrest Hamilton Jr. Fourth to Kevin Thompson. Fifth to Brandon Griffiths. Sixth goes to Brandon Trush. Seventh goes to Joshua McClune. Eighth goes to Devin Smith. Ninth goes to Jamie Horn. 10th will go to Jeremiah Sutsman. The rest of your finishers on your screen as we speak. And what a long, long road these drivers took tonight just to be able to get a whiff, a taste, or a sniff of that here. McClune, your number one charger tonight, went from 22. He got to 7th. That's pretty impressive if you ask me there, race fans. One last piece of business now about to be approached, race fans. It's time to take a listen to our top 3 drivers here today. And we're going to start with the guy that put this thing into victory lane. Ladies and gentlemen, get up for the number 21 of Aiden Giordano. And Giordano, my friend, congratulations getting this thing done here in Vegas. What a long run this Outback Steakhouse machine had to deal with. And with a heavy charging M&M Candyman behind you, I gotta believe you were throwing a few bloomin' onions his way, my friend.
Oh, 100%. I mean, this car was hooked up all night. It was just able to stick in dirty air and clean air. It had a little trouble passing, but once those tires wore out, you saw the advantage, you saw who saved, you saw who didn't. So it kind of played into our favor there towards the end of the runs. We had a really good long run car, which was what I was hoping for, and it kind of ran long, I think.
I'm about to say I did run pretty long there. If I looked at the stint there, looked like your first stint before you had to go into pit road was about 48 laps or so, 45. And then this stint, again, you had to go about the same amount of laps. And that's something I wanted to ask you, too, because how did you time when to go into pit road? Because there was a lot of drivers that were going into pit road before you, and they were trying to kind of nail up. How were you able to time the pit stop and the pit area there for you to be able to not only keep those that went in before you out of their basis, but also to keep Joshua from making that big final run around you?
I think it's more about pit entry than anything. Because getting onto the pit lane was a big thing. You could gain about a second on somebody. That's what I had Forrest do on that first green flag run. He was 1.2 back, and he just sent it in and made it work. But I think pit entry was, A, the big factor, and B, you don't want to run too long on those old tires because you know what's going to happen. You're going to be slower. You're going to fall too far back. So you got to kind of time that window where it's like, hey, should I pit 3 or 4 laps after them, or should I pit right after them? I think pitting right after them was just the perfect window because they don't gain enough time on you to get back by you.
And they didn't get enough time to catch you in this one here today as you celebrate with a big, juicy porterhouse tonight here in Sin City. Aiden, who are we thanking tonight?
I thank my sponsors at Outback Steakhouse, Farmingdale State College, and Bass Pro Shops. I want to thank my team at JFM, Josh, Reese, Devin, Forrest, Brandon, who was honorary tonight, so shout out to him. And you for putting on the show, of course. And, everybody who watches me supports me throughout the sim racing journey,
Well, I can only say this. You had quite a few fans tonight rooting you on, and they certainly love to see you get it done tonight. Great job, Aiden.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, driver number 21, Aiden Giordano, getting it done here in Sin City. Well, there's always going to have to be someone who takes the top spot. Then we talk with our runner-up in this one here. And Joshua, man, this was a long, long road for you and the team. Talk me through this one, my good sir, because this one certainly could have gone down to the wire between you and Giordano there at the end.
Yeah, just at the beginning of the race, just saved way too much. Then got lucky when we had the green flag pit stops. They able to jump into second from, I think, when I pit, I was in 4th, so I was 4th to 2nd during the pit cycle there. And when I had the tire advantage, I probably should have went up there and tried to pass Aiden, but Aiden ran a great race. I'm just kept the 8/10ths on me there, and I just really couldn't break up towards him. Tried to top, bottom, just ran a clean, good race.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, Joshua, because early on, you stayed back. You qualified 5th, I know that much, but then you kind of fell back early, and then you said just a second ago, once you kind of saved up too much, you were then just basically trying to play catch-up. How hard was it to really catch up, though, when you're dealing with the dirty air, especially considering how these next-gen cars react on these plate tracks in this case?
It was fine with the people that we were kind of like. It was tough to get Forrest and Devin because they kind of stayed back, but some of the people up front there were running towards the middle lane, so I was running like way down by the white. So some of the passes, like the Brandon and 35 and Markle and Keith, like they weren't like the toughest because they were running more the middle lane, so I just was able to run my lane and kind of get by them. But other than that, I'm just the other 2 spots I got, Devin and Forrest, were all pits. But it's pretty tough to pass in a car like this. So that's why I couldn't really get to Aiden. He had the clean air, I had dirty air, and you can't push past it.
Sure, there. Whenever that's Joshua, I do appreciate it coming on by. Who are we thinking here today for the 2nd place finish?
I'd like to thank myself. That's about it. And you were broadcasting. That's it.
All right, fair enough. Well, Joshua, appreciate it coming on by tonight. Congratulations getting it done for a 2nd place finish.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Ladies and gentlemen, driver number 18, the 2nd place finisher, Joshua Valiant. Long last now, we chat with someone who's pretty getting used now, pretty comfy up here in the booth. He's another podium finisher. Forrest Hamilton Jr. joins us. And Forrest, congratulations getting into 3rd place here today. And coming off the race win there in Daytona, and now coming in 3rd today. I got to believe you're already just eyeing some good, comfy points cushion right now, considering how tough this competition level is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough all season. Not good guys that are in this league, that's for sure.
So one thing I'll ask you too here, early on in the race, you same kind of situation Joshua just kind of said there. He ended up falling back early and saving up a little too much. But you and your style, it seemed like when you were starting to make the runs and make the moves, you were not hesitant to basically either choose between the bottom and the outside lane. Why was that, and how were you able to keep this car stabilized, considering that a lot of drivers that get too low on that bottom end up catching trouble, and they get too high on the outside end up finding themselves in even more trouble?
I just think it was the throttle work that I was doing. I was not necessarily lifting down the straightaways. I was rolling out of it coming into the corner and then just lifting a little bit and getting back into it about 80%. And just keeping momentum rolling in this car is a big thing, no matter if it's air or not. Got to keep it smooth. Got to keep the momentum up. And I feel like that's what I did the best job in there.
I certainly agree there here, and with comfy little extra points for the race win you had last week, I'd certainly say you're going to be one of probably the contenders this season. I got to ask you, Forrest, who are we thinking here today down the podium?
Just thinking teammates put in some work earlier today, and we figured out how to get going there.
For sure there. All right, well, hey, man, at the end of the day, we appreciate you coming on by. Congratulations, get it done for a 3rd place finish here today.
So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 3rd place finisher tonight, driver the number 3, Forrest Hamilton Jr. And with that, top 3 is in, and we are heading out. Race fans, it's been a pleasure. I know you guys set awesome broadcasts, and thanks for the work. I appreciate you guys just even coming out and saying the nice compliments. We wouldn't do it without you, and certainly wouldn't do it without these drivers. So big thank you to the Outlaws Sim Series for having us come by. Until next time, race fans, we're at Auto Club Speedway next time for the Outlaws, but on the Speed Zone side, be prepared. We've got more at stake, and on the show Sunday morning and Sunday night will be quite the fight here in the later months. But for the mornings wise right now, we got quite a bit going on there, and the Sunday nights will return later on in August, so stay tuned for that. But for now, it's time to bid farewell. Thank you, Sensei, for having us come by, and well, I might have to go play a few table games down there. So I'll see you guys later here from Speed Zone TV.